Imagine tomorrow you woke up and you had a disease, and everyone you know had a disease where every cell in your body degrades over time, maybe painfully. Your sight dims, your muscles waste away, your cognitive abilities decline. More people die of this than at the height of the COVID pandemic. Okay, you can open your eyes. If this disease were to hit the US tomorrow, raise your hand if you think we should do something about it. Come on. I'm sure many of you have figured out this malady already exists, it's called aging, and it will affect 100% of us. It will kill all of you, and it will kill me, and unlike in the fable of the dragon tyrant, it will not come roaring in announcing its presence. It lurks silently within all of us. It seems pretty obvious that we should marshal the same resources, enthusiasm, to fight this malady as we do other deadly conditions. But in a survey that Pew Research conducted, asking Americans whether they thought medical treatments that slow the aging process would be good for society, only 41% said yes. Over half of Americans thought research on aging would be bad for society. I have to ask you, when is the last time over half of Americans agreed on anything, let alone the idea that fighting a deadly disease is a bad idea? So I may be an academic, but this actually isn't just an academic question, because if you're in this room, it might be because you have an idea or a lab or a company that's working on aging or longevity research. And if you're making your pitch, whether to potential investors or politicians seeking to regulate your research, you need to be able to convince them that your work is a good idea, and right now there's a better than 50% chance they don't think so. But I do have good news. This is not a doomsday speech. You all can keep working on keeping the wrinkles off of my eyes, because I have done the work and I've come up with the 8 ethical arguments that most people raise when they say they're concerned about this research. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you the tools you need to be able to convince those people to be on your side. The arguments tend to fall into 3 buckets: the practical, the social, and the existential. The practical are actually more justice arguments, concern over who might benefit from such research and who might suffer if people live healthier for longer. The first concern is this research is only going to benefit the rich. I'm going to say it again. Aging affects all of us, rich and poor. So the benefits of this research have the potential to benefit all of us, rich and poor. I am not going to lie. It is true that in our society, the wealthy absolutely have better access to healthcare resources. But the solution to that injustice is not to cut off access for everyone. It is to expand access for everyone. Many of you may know that recently we actually found a treatment for sickle cell anemia. That is amazing. And I don't think anyone thinks that we should withhold that treatment from somebody who needs it until we've found a way to make it available to every single person who's suffering from it. Moreover, some of the research has already yielded some free solutions to aging better, like having a wide social network of friends or getting a good night's sleep. The second concern is that this growing population is going to use up the Earth's resources. This argument assumes a static world and an exploding population. What a dim view, I think, of our collective potential. We're already using sustainable materials to build skyscrapers. I'm guessing that many of you have ridden in or drive an electric car. In fact, agricultural technology means that we are actually producing more calories per person in every country in the world than we ever have before. Imposing today's world on tomorrow's population just doesn't make any sense. And in fact, many of the longest lived societies actually have the lowest consumption rates and the lowest birth rates. Okay, so maybe the planet will be okay, but some people are concerned that our Social Security system or our retirement systems are going to be bankrupt by all these older people. But imagine the 80-year-old surgeon who completes 30 more transplants and, by the way, is paying into the system while he does that work. Or maybe that person pivots to the second career as a teacher they always wanted. What would you do if you had 30 more years and the mind and body of a 25 or 30-year-old? And in fact, respected economists have found that 10 extra years of lifespan actually add trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars to our GDP. We might actually need to think about reforming our retirement systems, but actually a healthier older population adds to our productivity. It does not detract from it. And finally, there's a concern of we have a lot of competing healthcare priorities, so is this really where we want to spend our limited dollars? I'm going to say it again for those of you in the back corner, aging affects 100% of us. Even if someone dies of pneumonia or heart disease or cancer, the root cause is our cells aging badly. And in fact, the Samuel Waxman Institute for Aging and Cancer was just funded in recognition of this fact. So if we are not going to put our resources on a disease that affects 100% of the population, I don't know how we order our healthcare priorities. So the second group of arguments looks at the social systems that hold up our society. And the first one says, our social structures can't handle it. Okay, for this next question, if you're sitting next to your spouse, you might want to move. If you knew you'd be married to them for 80 years, would you still walk down the aisle? The fact is we don't live the way we did in the 1200s or the 1800s. And actually, when we moved from agrarian society to an industrial, we went from living in large group settings to the nuclear family, single family home. Our social structures are supposed to serve our needs. We don't structure our lives to serve antiquated structures. And in fact, we've actually already started doing that when you look at the age of first-time marriage or the number of jobs that somebody will hold in their lifetime. And so the last argument in this bucket is that progress will stagnate. Many of you may be familiar with Max Planck's phrase that science progresses one funeral at a time. But we're currently living longer than we ever have. And the pace of technological change is faster than it ever has been. So sorry, Max, but actually change is not dependent upon funeral rites. The last set of arguments are sort of the big meta existential, what I call the meaning of life arguments. And the first is that our life feels like it has meaning because we know it will end. And that's sort of the motivational driver for ensuring that we do what is meaningful in life. But here's the thing. If you're hung up on the idea that only that which is limited is valuable, like life is some kind of Birkin bag, I just push back on the idea that scarcity is required to imbue meaning. Because the truth is that the value of life can be found in that which we contribute to it or engage in, whether it's canvases painted or books read or written or children raised or money donated. A long life, well lived, can and does bring tremendous meaning. And the last argument looks at the idea that death is natural. And so fighting death is unnatural. Some people say that we're playing God. Okay, but if that's true, then antibiotics and the pacemaker and organ transplant and chemotherapy are all unnatural. It just doesn't make any sense that the medical interventions that come in the midpoint or the end stage of a disease to heal us are seen as medical miracles. But the basic research that we're doing that actually will uncover the root cause of why our cells start to decay to cause those diseases is seen as unnatural. So in season 2 of The Simpsons, Homer thinks that he's eaten poison sushi and he has only 24 hours left to live. When he wakes up the next morning alive, he vows to live life to the fullest. The camera then pans to see him eating pork rinds and watching bowling. We all want more life, even if it's to eat pork rinds, and quite frankly, if that's what you choose to do with your extra time, I am not going to judge you. We have all gained tremendously from existing health span and lifespan research. It is this research that is going to uncover the root causes of the majority of diseases that kill us, like heart disease, like diabetes, like cancer. It is this research which is going to expand the number of years that we are contributing active members of our society and community. This work isn't just a financial benefit. It's not just a sort of existential ego trip. It is a moral imperative. So it's our job to go outside this room, to turn that 41% into 100%, to explain to your friends, to your neighbors, to your relatives, to your coworkers, that it's this research that is going to make the world a better place. Thank you.